What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Geeks and Around. I am your executive producer, Deanna Jackson. We are, of course, here to talk about episode 3, what we're at, 308, somewhere around there, of Arrow, Brave and the Bold. This is the second half of the Flash Arrow crossover, which, of course, began last night with Flash versus Arrow over on the Arrow show. This is the second half of it, and I actually liked it a lot better than the first. We'll get into that in a minute. First, let's go ahead and introduce our panel, starting off with our producer and lead host, Matt Moore. How's it going, man? What you think of the show?
I thought it was pretty good. There was a little less whining from Barry's side, so that did help. And I thought it was pretty cool because we finally got to meet the bad guy that Ollie was chasing in the Flash crossover.
Indeed, yeah, about time. And it was actually a pretty good villain, too. I actually liked him. Andy, what did you think?
I remember everyone being so disappointed when they heard that Captain Boomerang was going to be the villain, and now people seem to be very happy about it. So I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about it, but I loved the episode and the first part. I'm sorry I couldn't join last night for part 1. I loved part 1, and the reason why Barry was whining was because he was controlled by metahumans. So
we know, we talked about that last night.
Yeah, I'm just adding my 2 cents.
To be fair, he was a little whiny before that as well.
To be honest, you're whining all the time, Matt, and that has.
Charles, what did you think of this one?
Yes, as you all know from the Flash discussion last night, that I pretty much hated it. However, part 2 of the crossover event was much better than part 1. I thought it was much better. I thought this episode was awesome. I thought Captain Boomerang was awesome. Just how he was throwing those boomerangs all over the place, and they were flying all over the place. It was crazy, and it was awesome. I liked Barry's interactions with how things were going. Like I liked how Barry reacted to how Oliver would torture the people that he would go after, like how he shot the guy in the shoulder.
Okay, Charles, we're getting to the specifics later. It's like these are the intros, man. Quick.
Okay, yes, all right.
Isaiah,
all right.
What did you think of this episode?
Well, this episode was real nice moments. It really did. So I had 2 gripes, which is Captain Boomerang and Cisco Network.
Anyway, last and most certainly not least, Lerod, what you think of this one?
I really enjoyed this episode. I think it was by far one of the better ones of the season.
Right.
All right, good to go. Now, Charles, as you were saying, because you were going on this intros, 15 seconds intro. Right. What'd you think of the show? Move on.
Yes.
But now we're actually in a discussion, so have at it.
All right. Well, I liked a lot of the stuff that how Barry was reacting to how Oliver did things like he normally did, shooting people with arrows, grabbing a hold of the arrow while it's in the person's body and twisting. That we all love that brutality and that kind of aggression in an Arrow, but Barry is not used to it because Oliver did a nice comparison, saying that, yeah, Barry, you live in Central City where it's sunny and happy all the time, while right now you're in Starling City, which is much, much meaner. And I thought that was very cool, and it kind of gave Barry a taste of what the real world was like, and I really like that.
Well, I think this entire episode kind of will help the entire Flash team to because they're just starting off in this whole being a superhero game, and I don't think they've exactly processed that this life is really dangerous. Now, Of course, this life being dangerous is something that the Arrow Squad is they're fully well invested in. They know what they're doing is serious, and they take it seriously. And I think that this was kind of sobering for not only Flash, but for the rest of his team.
Yeah.
And Caitlin Snow, she even pointed out, in the scene much later in the episode, where she admits that, because of all these metahumans with superpowers and everything like that, it's not. For them, to them, it's not really. It doesn't feel like real reality to them because they're dealing with metahumans. So I like that. One of the things I loved about these 2 crossovers episodes was that there was so many good dialogues where the characters admitted their flaws. That look, we've done some shitty mistakes. We look at this as a game basically, and I love when characters do that. Sometimes you don't have to be super clear about it. Sometimes just let them action show that they know what that they did a mistake. But I didn't mind that everyone said, yeah, we still have lots to learn, but and so on.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. I do think this is a good episode for everyone involved. I think it moved everyone forward on their storylines. I was particularly interested near the end when Barry's having that conversation with Oliver, saying that you were wrong. You can be an inspiration to the city as well. Maybe not as Arrow, but as Oliver Queen. I really don't think Oliver ever thought of that.
Well,
To me,
I had actually taken the meaning of that as that Oliver Queen was inspiring his team. Maybe not the city, but his team. Like, he has all these people that follow him and follow him very loyally. I at least that's how I ended up taking it, is because of the fact that the city isn't following Oliver Queen, his team is.
I look at it as that they were talking about inspiring the city, and one of the things, and Diana, you guys said that Oliver never thought about doing that. I think he actually tried to beat it, but I think he gave up after what happened in season 2, because there were times where he was trying to, he was trying to take care of Queen Consolidated, and that pretty much fucked up when Isabel Rocha and Slade Wilson pretty much fucked him behind his back, and so I think he's always trying to be that public, inspiring figure, but I think he just gave up after what happened in the last episode of season 2.
Well, it's like I see what you're saying there, Andy. It's like I kind of disagree, and here's why. It's like I know that he was kind of doing things with Queen Consolidated and whatnot, but I don't think he was taking it seriously. Like, I mean, that's how his company was able to be taken over in the first place, because it was pretty much something he was doing on the side, and Arrow was his main thing. Yeah, exactly. Where that's all it was to him, was a cover. I mean, as a matter of fact, the whole losing a bunch of money, now he's only a millionaire instead of, the billionaire that he once was, and not so much in the public spotlight. He seems to have more viewed that as a good thing, because it gives him more time to be Arrow. It's like, I made a comparison last night that the whole Flash Arrow dynamic is somewhat similar to the Superman Batman dynamic, and that only adds more of it to me, because that's always the way, of course, that Batman has seen Bruce Wayne in his view, as a disguise. It's not, he is Batman, but he dresses up as Bruce Wayne just to keep up appearances. And I think in a lot of ways that's what Arrow's doing with Oliver. But until he's had this conversation with Barry, I don't think he understood that Oliver Queen, just Oliver Queen, could be more than that.
I didn't. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, you're right. That's actually a good point. I didn't think that deep, but that's a good point. Yeah, I like them because I look at Flash and Arrow as Batman and Superman, and and then I think they're basically forming this DC Trinity, with possibly Supergirl coming in, being like the Wonder Woman. So I kind of like that they're in this episode. It was kind of like a take of Batman and Superman, but just with Green Arrow and Flash, and I like that. And do you think it's good that the show is aiming to be like Superman and Batman without having those two characters?
I actually think it's brilliant, but I'm curious about what the rest of the panel thinks.
Well, first off, and I wanted to say this earlier, that particular conversation between Cisco and Felicity, and I think Diggle might have been there as well, about how the fact that they're fighting metahumans makes it seem more unrealistic. That is actually kind of a conversation that I'm kind of surprised us here at the panel had not had. Because that really is kind of the case. I mean, you have more camp, you have more metahumans, you have more, it doesn't seem as serious. Like, the stakes don't seem as high because of the fact that it's metahumans. And they ended up having that conversation for the audience, which I think is kind of cool, because it's a conversation we should have. So, yeah, I mean, that dynamic is definitely there. It is like Batman, Superman, because, for example, there is one storyline that comes to mind on Superman where basically a prison warden, an intergalactic prison warden, turned all of Metropolis into one giant metal prison, and 2 comic books later, Metropolis was in perfect shape, like nothing had ever happened, and that is like Superman. With Batman, though, you have an earthquake in Gotham. That resounds for years, forever. The stakes are much more real in Gotham than they are in Metropolis.
Yeah, No Man's Land. I'm glad you reminded me of that storyline. That's actually one of my favorite Batman storylines of all time.
And sorry, go on, Andy.
No, I was gonna say I remember beginning reading that storyline before Dark Knight Rises came out because I know the movie was partly based on that. Not too much, but it was partly, so I wanted to check it out, but I never got the time to finish it. But I heard it's really good.
You really
That
should.
was
It's excellent.
that's one of 3 times that I can think of offhand where Batman had realized that he potentially could do do more good as Bruce Wayne than he could as Batman.
Yeah,
Because
because it was him as Bruce Wayne that ended up solving the problem.
exactly. Like it was Bruce Wayne that ended up taking the city back from Lex Luthor. It was Bruce Wayne who campaigned to actually get the National Guard in there. Like it was Bruce Wayne who did all of that. Batman just made sure that the city didn't go to ruin in the meantime.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, but I really like these comparisons, and I think I was talking to some people the other night and what they were thinking about because I recently on my Flash podcast I mentioned that with Supergirl possibly coming in, I like that they're forming this DC television trinity, and they said no, they should not try to be the Wonder Woman, Batman, and Superman of the television universe. I'm like, why not? Because why should they not be? And they felt that but then they can't be their own characters. That no, they will not be like Wonder Woman and Superman and Batman, but they will kind of have those positions. Like in this DC universe, these are the 3 big ones. And so like whenever we see like a crossover like between Flash and Arrow, and they have conversations like that where Barry has to kind of remind Oliver about his humanity, even though he's the one that is like least human right now. I think it gives a great storytelling, and I think even though I loved part one reason I loved part two slightly more was because of so many character developments, and it's like in 42
Agreed.
minutes you have
Mhm.
7 characters you're dealing with. In 42 minutes they were able to do more character development than they able to do for the past 7 episodes of Arrow
Yeah,
this season.
and not only were they able to do that, but they also were still able to have their flashbacks and have the flashbacks tie into what was going on in the episode. It's like, I mean, the pacing in this episode was absolutely brilliant.
And they did
Yeah.
character development on characters we hardly ever see. Like they brought in Amanda Waller, who we've seen twice this season, and then they do a little bit of character, not much, but they do a little bit of character development on her relationship with Ollie, and then we have Captain Boomerang, which we've never seen before. We get like his whole backstory. We end up having freaking Diggle's wife, and we find out like more information about her. I mean, we got
I
a
really
lot
like her,
this
by the
episode.
way. The women on this show are really strong. I hope that that Lilac character she gets to be more episodes because I'm really enjoying that. And also, by the way, I'm sorry to bring this up, but there's a part in the episode where Barry is in costume, Oliver's in costume, and Roy's in costume, and Diggle just comes out and he's like, "What up, you all? Here in a leather jacket, looking all smooth." It's like you're doing a crossover, you couldn't give him a costume still. It's like 3 superheroes and then just Diggle.
Well, at this rate, his wife is going to get a costume before he does. I'm done fighting that battle. It's like,
Well, did you notice that Lila?
I guess they figure it's like, oh, fuck it, he don't need a costume. All black men look alike anyway.
You know what's funny? Lila Michaels, in the comics, she's actually Harbinger in the
Yeah, I know.
comics.
That's
So it's kind
that's what I was trying to say without actually saying it, Andy.
In any case,
Also, there's a fun fact too. There's a little funny scene between Diggle's wife and a boomerang. That was kind of funny.
all right, we are not going to visualize that. Please don't
Hey, it
visualize
was
that.
funny. He
In
threw
any
it.
case,
It was kind
in
of
any
funny.
case, my problem with her as a character is I am of the belief that Argus and their agents are bad guys. Period.
Right.
Like
I
period.
look at them as anti-heroes.
Agreed.
Well, this is the thing that I always kind of thought was kind of weird about the whole character Amanda Waller, is that everything I ever understood about that character is that she was a bad guy, that
No.
she was not friendly with the heroes at all.
No.
Well, Charles, you gotta look at it like this: like General Ross and the Hulk. The Hulk is not a bad guy in some people's eyes, but General Ross thinks of him as a villain.
But here's the difference: is General Ross is doing what General Ross does under command, under direct command from someone above him. Amanda Waller doesn't have anyone commanding her what to do. She's just doing whatever the fuck she wants, including kidnapping and detaining prisoners without a trial, without anything.
Yeah,
That
even-
is very,
You
very
mean like the folks over on Flash are doing with the metahumans?
That
She's
is
a
true, and we
Yeah,
actually
they're doing-
discussed that yesterday. Is they're breaking the law as well. But I mean, Amanda Waller is sending these people off to their death as well.
Yeah, but my point is, like, I mean, throughout all of these sides, you know, you have Flash and his team, and you have Arrow and his team, and you have Amanda Waller and Argus. They're all more or less working toward the same goal. They just have different levels of laws they are willing to break
Yeah.
in order to do it.
I agree.
I mean, it's like, I mean, let's not forget, it's like Arrow's come down from a few laws that he was willing to break, because in season 1 he was like, hey, if motherfuckers need to die, motherfuckers need to die. Okay? He's backed off from that. Amanda's still there. She does not care.
Right.
It's like, yeah, so I will
was
send
the
these
judge,
motherfuckers out to
jury,
do
and
they either
executioner.
accomplish the mission or they die.
Right.
You know
Don't
what's,
care.
I was thinking a lot about this because just before this crossover started, they announced the full cast for Suicide Squad, and I kept thinking this whole time because we have a new Boomerang now in the movies, and the fact that they're looking at Oprah for Amanda Waller, I was just trying to imagine, okay,
Dude,
how
don't
do
even
we?
get me started.
Oprah, really?
Yeah.
Really?
If they don't
She's
get
the-
Viola Davis as Amanda Waller, I'm not watching the movie. Period.
Well, if yeah, Oprah, that's
Okay, look.
What about
The
that
reason-
CCH one? What about her?
If they cast Oprah, I want this thing to happen. You get a squad. You get a squad. You get a squad. You get a
Fuck off,
squad.
man.
Get
I
a
think it would
squad.
be more like you get a bomb, you get a bomb, you get a
Yeah,
bomb.
yeah.
You
look,
all
that's
get a
it.
bomb.
Get a car. Everyone gets a car with a bomb in it.
They're
Um,
looking at Oprah as bringing in a different kind of audience.
Well, Oprah's a good actress.
So if they,
No.
she's a great actress in her own right, but if you bring her in, you're looking at people she tells off of her own network and on her shows that probably would never go see a Suicide Squad movie, give it a shot just because of her.
Yeah,
Right.
right. And if Viola Davis was in it, Oprah would still be telling them the same fucking thing.
Bingo.
Can I please? I want to verify something. I had seen this casting rumor, whatever, and I thought it was a joke. Are we actually saying that they are seriously considering Oprah
Yes.
for that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's the front runner of the role, but they're also looking at Viola Davis. Wait, what was her name?
Viola Davis.
Viola Davis and Octavia Spencer. The problem with Viola is that her show.
I'm out, bitches.
No, okay. Well, Andy is like, the thing is, like, I mean, the show that she's on right now, How to Get Away with Murder, it very particularly has a shortened season, not the usual 22 episodes, specifically because she wanted the time free to be able to also do movies. That's the very specific reason why it doesn't have as long of a season as normally network television shows.
All right. Before we get back to Arrow, there is one final thing I want to say about this whole Amanda Waller Suicide Squad thing. What about that CCH woman? I can't pronounce her last name.
CCH Pounder.
Pounder? How can't you pronounce Pounder?
I didn't know if that was how it was pronounced.
Yeah.
And
CCH Pounder.
all right, CCH Pounder. How about her? 'Cause she voiced Amanda Waller in the old Justice League.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, I'd be fine with that.
I'm fine with
Yeah.
that.
I said it. The thing was that on Twitter that night I said that, I made the Oprah joke, you get a squad, but everyone was laughing their ass off. So many retweets that it wasn't even funny. But then I said, I would love CJ Pounder too. That's actually who I was hoping they would get for Amanda Waller on Arrow, because I was thinking, these producers, they are huge geeks. So I was thinking, oh, they're definitely gonna go with they're definitely gonna at least ask CJ Pounder. But
she's not doing anything right now, as far as I know. She's not.
She's not doing shit.
Well, actually, that's not entirely true. She is actually the medical examiner in NCIS New Orleans.
Hey, thank you. She ain't doing shit.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
But no, but it was just interesting that they announced the casting the same night as we would get to see we would see references to Captain Boomerang, and the next time we would see Captain Boomerang and so on. So it was like kind of interesting how they did that. But I loved Boomerang on this show, and I know he's from Sparkus, so it was kind of funny when they said oh, he's now with Slade. I'm like, oh my god, let's have a Sparkus reunion already.
Oh dear lord. I'm just gonna ask this question. So Sparkus people must be very cheap to hire, or they pretty much have nothing else to do for the time being.
They're not really that cheap to hire. They're actually very expensive. Mount
Hard to
Bennett was
tell because they got Amanda
Mom-
Waller from Spartacus. They got Slade, well, Pussy Slade from Spartacus. They got Boomerang. He's from Spartacus, and some other motherfuckers from Spartacus. Like, damn, are these motherfuckers cheap? It
They're
kind of
not
seems like
cheap.
they're cheap. It was on Star.
Mon-
So
Mon-
Well,
If
it's
you-
either they're cheap or they actually want to act in a show like Arrow. They think of it as a great opportunity.
Or they're just
okay, Charles,
collecting a
Charles.
paycheck.
I have heard that Mount Bennett was
Boomerang
not
Master,
easy. It
fucking
was not
cheap.
cheap to get for. Mount Bennett was not cheap to get for season 2 when as a series regular. I can tell you that.
Well, bottom
Again,
line is like,
cheap as hell.
yeah, okay, whatever, Isaiah, shut up.
Yeah,
You know I'm right. You know I'm right. They're cheap as hell.
The
Like,
bottom line is
it's
that, like,
anything
all
else.
these actors, they've shut up Isaiah. All these actors and whatnot that they've brought in from Spartacus have done a hell of a job because this guy, you guys that have been watching us for a while, it's like, you know the opinion I had on Boomerang going into this thing. This motherfucker actually managed to make Boomerang interesting.
Really?
Yes,
And
he
that's
did.
this is a villain that all he does is throw boomerangs. I mean, seriously, that's it.
That's kind of a joke.
I remember yelling to my mom that, "Hey mom, could you buy me some boomerangs?" She said, "What do you need boomerangs from?" I'm like, "I just want to hold them." And she said, "No, I'm not helping you get boomerangs."
Okay then.
Once again, I
Right,
haven't
man,
slept.
yeah.
I haven't slept for 4 days. It's starting to kick in.
Oh, are you saying
Evidently.
that the lack of sleep is starting to come back at you?
Sort of.
Well, at least he got this joke this time. It's like I remember the first time he made that joke a couple episodes ago. I think everyone got it except Andy. And then it was like 5 minutes later, Andy's like, "Oh, I get it." It's like, "Oh, fuck off, Andy."
That was the worst Andy impression ever.
That was so much spot on.
No, because I have a brighter voice, and the reaction I gave was, "Oh, you have to do the lips." And okay, I'm really tired. Let's talk about more.
Wow.
Good God.
So let me see. We end up having Captain Boomerang, who's using the boomerangs basically like they're daggers, like they're throwing daggers. So not that they can come back to him. The question is can he somehow control those boomerangs?
I
Like,
know
because he
that-
was pulling some
I
Captain
don't think
America
so.
shit on there.
In the
Yeah.
comic books, he had some sort of like connection to the boomerangs, but I think that in this case, I think he's just like very high skilled, which is apparently like the status of every Argus agent. Even though Argus has the worst security ever, the fact
Yeah,
that he can
apparently, it's like if he just strolled in. Off
That's
the
a
street.
oh,
It's like, I mean,
okay.
seriously, wait a second. It's like, here's the thing that tripped me out. Is like about this. Okay, he kills that guy in in the other Arrow episode to get his ID, which and that ID gets him in for, let's be generous, 5 entire seconds before he just killed that guard anyway. Wasn't that just easier to do?
Yeah, it feels like it's Batman all over again.
Unfortunately, he does not have the skills that every New Yorker has in jumping the stiles.
Now,
Admittedly not.
I have a question for the panelists here. Now moving from for future appearances, would you guys because Captain Boomerang, he has 2 statuses in the comic. He is a Flash villain and he's part of the Rogues, but he's also part of Suicide Squad. The next time you see Captain Boomerang, where do you want to see him? Do you want to see him on Arrow, part of Suicide Squad, or would you like to see him be part of the Rogues that we're going to see soon on the Flash?
Easily the ropes.
I agree.
Really?
Oh yeah,
I
easily.
would say Suicide Squad because being a member of the Rogues, he doesn't seem to be that much of a match for Flash.
He isn't.
Yeah,
It's
but
like he throws the
you would-
boomerangs, Flash catches them.
Ooh.
Like, now what? Are you gonna throw some more boomerangs? Okay, cool.
You
Now
know,
those are mine too.
Boomerang's like,
Now what's the plan? You're out of boomerangs. I have them all. These are mine. You can't have them back.
Yes, but
Now
he's
what?
also a weapons developer, which means that those boomerangs could explode in his hand, or could anything. I mean, he in this show he's a weapons designer, which means he can make weapons
Wait a minute.
to take out the Flash.
Like Matt said, that's exactly true because in the comic he has done that. There was actually an arc where he was actually developing exploding boomerangs for a long time, so
Why
that
can't
could
get
work.
around? Because
And
it's
if
not
and
like,
because it's a fucking origin story. But like if you put him together with
if he
Captain
can make
Cold and Heatwave,
bombs,
you
I'm
know,
just saying, if he can make bombs, let him still bomb back though.
Isaiah, you should totally talk over Andy while he's in the middle of a sentence.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, Andy, as you were saying.
um, I was saying that but yeah, maybe like if he's alone against the Flash, maybe then there's Flash will take him out easily. But if you have several members of the Rogues, there's a reason why they've actually been able to take him down in the comic books together. So, um, that's just how I look at it. So
Yeah,
that's why
I
I wouldn't mind if he goes back and forth between these shows. Like the thing that they teased about at Comic Con when they were first, talking about the Flash and stuff like that. They said, you will see villains from Arrow be on Flash. You will see villains from Flash on Arrow. It's like, so we, that's an easier crossover at the same time. We'll probably not see another big crossover in the next, maybe until next season. But let the villains go back and forth, especially like Boomerang.
Yeah, that I'd have no problem with.
If they do it good enough, then sure. That's all that's going to matter.
Mm-hmm.
And my thought is of the villains that the Flash has faced, Captain Boomerang is easily the second coolest. The first coolest being, of course, Captain Cold. And that was not supposed to be a pun, but I'll take it.
Fair enough.
But how's that a pun? That's their names.
Because they're the coolest. Captain Cold would be the coolest.
I did it again.
Andy
this time
really
it went
is tired, y'all.
this time it went faster. Pun.
Lullaby and good night.
The one thing I did have a problem with though with Captain Boomerang was the fact that that he didn't have an Australian accent, like in the comic books.
Well, yeah, in this particular case, though, that's just it. That's why I have a problem with the idea that he's just very, very skilled with boomerangs, is because of the fact that no one from Argus went, oh yeah, he was a weapons developer that worked with boomerangs. They didn't say that. They said he was a weapons developer, which means the boomerang thing most likely was relatively new.
But in the episode, they did. I think it was Lila had mentioned that he was a member of ASIS, and that sounded an awful lot like what Slade Wilson had said to Oliver on the island, saying that he had said the acronym. I don't remember what it was, but basically he was a part of Australian intelligence. So I don't know if it's the same thing. Probably isn't. But when Lila said ASIS, I'm like, wait a minute, was he working for Australian intelligence?
I still wanted the accent though, because it's like, why does almost every villain on some of these great comic book TV shows have to be always American? It's either British or American. It's like, why can't they be Australian or Scottish or whatnot? I just like that.
Yeah.
Do we have a well-known
What's kind of funny
Australian
is
actor?
like, I mean, he was an Aussie without an Aussie accent.
Yeah, and I think even the actor himself is from Australia. So it's like, why didn't you just do the accent? I don't know. We talked about that on the podcast today. I was like, I just wanted that fucking accent.
Yeah, and Lou Rod, did you seriously ask if there were any like well-known Australian actors
That could be on the show. I can't name one right now. I don't remember any.
I could name.
And if we're going to be
bunch of Australian
nitpicky, then why don't we get a fat-ass Amanda Waller?
because the show is going with the new 52 version of it.
I think he was talking about the movie.
So,
Any Australian actors that I can think of are pretty much strictly movie.
Yeah, pretty much. Hugh Jackman or like I don't
Luke
know,
Mitchell.
the Hemsworth brothers.
Yeah, but again, that's movies, and they wouldn't necessarily come to TV.
Yeah.
Personally, wherever they're from, I really don't give a shit as long as they make a good movie.
I don't know what we were talking about before we got into that point.
Yeah, I was like, I got distracted by this loud ass horn outside my window. Sorry about that one.
I was thinking that all.
Wait! You can get Heath Ledger. He's free, right?
Oh my god.
Yeah, he's not doing
He's
it
very
right now.
free.
Guys.
He hasn't been in the movie for a while.
Guys, no,
Right.
no, no.
Too soon.
Dude,
No, you do not joke about someone like that. It's
Why so serious?
Fine.
Yeah, I mean, why so serious?
because no sleep for 4 days.
Fucking
But yeah, I mean, let me see. There's Hugo Weaving. There's Mel Gibson. There's
you
Paul
ain't
Hogan's
getting.
way too freaking old.
Hugo Weaving is Australian?
Yes,
Yeah.
he is.
You also
You
According to
ain't
Google.
getting Red Skull or Megatron.
Anyway, let's go back to the Arrow episode.
I was like, well, I've brought up all the points I wanted to bring up. Did any of y'all have anything else in this episode that stood out to you?
the action. It was actually good.
Jesse Spencer. There we go. That's an Australian, young enough, who could play the character. He's the Brit in House. He's Australian.
Okay, so
Matt was
Are you
determined
done
to
yet,
find
Matt?
somebody.
That was only like 5 seconds after the topic. Come on, you gotta give me more credit.
Please
That's fair.
sounded stupid that when we were talking about the episode, you were like,
okay, so back to Arrow again.
Arrow, ooh, what's Arrow?
Yeah, it's like did anything else in this episode stand out to any of you?
Flash.
That we
like
haven't
when
already talked about.
I liked when Flash ran by Fee and she was just like, what the fuck was that?
That was cool. I also like the part where it was Cisco, Caitlin, Felicity, and Roy at the club, and Cisco thought that Thea was hot and everything, and then of course
Who doesn't
Roy
think
said
he's hot?
exactly,
Seriously, the
but
man's a fucking pervert.
I know.
Or he's just a guy around a lot of really attractive women.
yeah,
How is he a pervert?
Roy had said that she was his ex-girlfriend, and that Felicity said, "Oh, that's Oliver's younger sister," and it's like, yeah, keep my
Yeah,
distance.
so
I
okay,
understand.
that's off. Got it.
That was not my favorite part of that scene. I know it would seem like it would be the favorite part of my scene, and it's a very close second. My favorite part of that scene is that Felicity's drink disappeared. Like, it was gone. Everyone else had like 2.5 shots in their cup, and hers was empty. Like a second later.
She enjoyed her iced tea.
Yeah, it's like boom.
Yeah.
Although one thing, even though I liked the episode overall, there was one thing that bothered the living hell out of me. It was right at the end. No, it was the moment at the end of the episode where they said like, come on, we need to like do something on our own. They go into this warehouse where they say like, come on, I mean you have to be wondering like who would win in a fight, you or me? And I'm like, oh come on,
That
You're
was
gonna
one
be
of my
doing this,
favorite
really?
scenes.
No, I really don't like it when shows do that. Or even it's cheesy. It's
No,
really
let
cheesy.
Charles finish. Let him finish.
It's extremely cheesy. It's weak, half-assed. It's like, oh, we don't know what else to do, so let's just put in this overused, overdone scene, which has been done.
Are you making fun of the end of Rocky?
It's been
He
done
does that.
hundreds upon hundreds of thousands of times.
Charles?
Okay,
It is
wait.
old.
Before you respond, Andy, it's like I'm just gonna ask one question. Charles, do you have a brother that is close to you in age?
Yes, he's about a year and a half younger than me.
Yeah.
We're not to the funny part yet, Andy.
No.
No, I know where he's going with this.
Oh no! It's like I jump past there. It's like I mean, are you telling me honestly that that you and your brother have never gone at it just to see who would win?
No.
Because
Because-
that's something
because-
that I've done. Because that's something I've done with my brothers all the time.
Well, no, the thing is, I was never able to do it because back then I was a weak son of a bitch, and so
Okay.
my brother
Okay.
would always win. So there was
Okay,
no
so
point.
it's just a matter of how you grew up. Because that's just something that brothers do. And at this point, it's like between and my point that I say all that to make is that at this point, in certain ways, Barry and Oliver are brothers. And it's like they've gone through this thing, and they're both now a part of this vigilante community, and they've gone through so much together. I think that was just them blowing off some steam together and just having some fun. It wasn't
Yeah.
really a matter of, oh yeah, we're gonna fight to the death or whatnot. They just went over here and did their own thing. It's like, let's just fuck around and have some fun. Yeah, who would win between you and me? Fuck it, let's see.
And you know what?
Let-
Shut the
Wait, let me-
All right, no, Andy, go ahead.
The thing that I really loved about that scene is because, one of the things that I've been struggling a little bit this scene with Arrow is that, because we're seeing Flash how fun and bright and how colorful it is, but with Arrow it is getting so dark, and the problem is that it's season 3. It's like, Buffy and Smallville, they had the same thing. They were dark seasons, so it's like, look, any moment I can have where they just have fun and smile and laugh makes me happy. That I appreciate, because you know what? Look, I love Arrow to death, but not every scene of every episode of every season needs to be gritty, gloomy, realistic, dark, and oh my god, it's like that scene. But wait, I'm not done. He interrupts me while he's lagging. That's hilarious. So I love that.
That's why he's interrupting, because he's lagging. He has no idea if you're
Yeah.
done or not.
The thing is, yes, it was Rocky related, but you know what? They didn't do it. They made it fun. So I don't.
Well-
And
Wait a second, Charles. Before you go, it's like I think Matt was trying to make a point a little bit earlier.
I wasn't trying to make a point. I was trying to see who everyone thinks won.
That was left ambiguous for a reason. I'm gonna go with that.
Yeah. But what I was going to say is you keep saying that scene was very Rocky. I don't know what the hell you guys are talking about. I know what Rocky is,
Really?
but I've never seen any of the Rocky movies. I've never seen them.
Man, Apollo
Oh,
Creed
fuck.
and Rocky Balboa racing on the beach.
He never seen it. Again, it's
Rocky
Charles.
Electric Boogaloo.
Only the first few
Or-
Rockies were even worth seeing.
That's
Or
bullshit.
when they just got in the ring for
Rocky
the hell of it, just to spar
V.
each other.
Thousand.
Rocky 5 is not worth watching, but then it gets
No.
good again after that.
It's not. Fuck that movie.
I was making a Spaceballs reference, but thanks for ruining it.
You've seen that, but you don't. Never mind. You already know.
Yeah. Anywho, yeah, back to Arrow.
Yeah. Also,
Only the one issue I had this week was how they sat there and said they were chasing Boomerang for over a week.
I hate
Really?
that too.
Since when did you chase somebody for so long?
Right.
Unless you're
Somebody
Slade Wilson,
managed
which
to stay hidden
made
that
more
long.
sense. I don't know. That just felt kind of stupid. Oh, last week when you were visiting us, why don't you just say yesterday? Would have been better.
Because it would have been kind of odd that they would have done this big thing, and then the next day if they would have done something like, I like that it was actually 1 week.
Yeah, me too.
But
If it was just one day, it's like, I mean, we just got back and now they're coming in with this. It's like, I mean, if it was just one day, it's like they might as well have just all left together, holding hands, fucking skipping down the Yellow Brick Road on the way back to fucking
Singing
Starling City.
Kumbaya.
yeah. Kumbaya.
I like that it was a week distance between these two episodes, like, in their world. So I think that's just an unnecessary nitpick because, there's been worse
That's my
things.
nitpick. That's my issue.
Fair
You
enough.
don't have to like it.
Yeah, that's fair.
All right, so Isaiah, you were saying
Okay, number
if you
one.
can do it
folks.
without lagging.
Oh, that'd be very fun too. So here we go. Number
The
one.
first time you lag, I'm shutting you off.
That's nothing new. That's really nothing.
Oh, there was
Ah,
my.
just lag. You're done. All right, you know what? Since I never actually let you get started, I'm gonna give you another shot. Okay, ready? Go.
If he can make it to his laugh without lagging.
I know.
Talk!
Let's try again. Ready? Go.
All right.
All right, Vanilla Isaiah, why don't you talk for him?
Yeah, exactly.
He
Yeah,
lagged.
you
He
just
lagged.
fucking Vulcan mind meld.
Leave me out of it. Leave me out of it.
I actually was like, you know what? I'll translate for y'all. It's like, I mean, I know what Isaiah's gonna say. There's bullshit city and something about bananas and
It's not.
You never
and it's
know.
like, yeah, so it's like a guy. He has a hamburger and he's like, yeah, I like
You can't use
hamburgers.
my phrase if I'm saying, okay? I have to say the phrase first.
Yeah.
You never know. Anyway,
Oh yeah, that's
folks,
right. Yeah, that's a I forgot that part. Yeah, and you never know. And you. Okay. I officially covered everything Isaiah was gonna say.
Wow.
Yeah, boom, boom. I say it like, yeah. See,
It's not-
Yeah, see, even Isaiah agrees with me.
No,
Whatever he just said there, I don't care what it was. It doesn't matter. He agrees with me. I should never know. You never know. Boo.
And you go. Things are agreeing with me.
Isaiah, I think you've been out, Isaiah. I'm pretty sure you've been out, Isaiah.
You have failed this bullshit sitting.
Isaiah Magic is always That's how now copied me. He copied me so well. Isaiah don't matter. It's all good. It's all good. And also, Andy agrees with me on one thing. Arrow does not have to be so emo-ish. It's true. Yeah,
I don't know what the fuck you said, dude.
What?
I don't know.
I think Isaiah was like agreeing with me.
He said for once I agree with Andy that Arrow doesn't have to be emo-ish, and the fact that he agreed with me, wait a minute, I'm just gonna go jump somewhere.
I was like, I think you need to change your opinion, Andy.
Yeah.
That's very scary.
Isaiah agreed with you. That's just. I'm pretty sure that's like one of the signs of the apocalypse.
Wait,
That's
look,
Isaiah
last
lost
night,
it.
Oh, God.
wait, last night,
And also, one last
last
thing.
night I had to.
One last thing. Okay. Boomerang still sucks. He could have brought some bombs with him. Like, what if you just bring bombs? And plus, he's a weapon expert. Make yourself a weapon. Don't just make boomerangs. Really,
Who the
dude?
fuck is
Boomerang.
Well, boomerangs are a weapon.
5 balls that were made out of Samsung devices.
Oh, wow. Samsung. Ooh. You got Samsung. Why can't you just build yourself a good weapon or a suit or anything? No, you're going to be...
Yeah, because he was totally ineffective with those boomerangs. I mean, he did
Exactly.
except
See
fuck
what I mean?
up targets, like completely and totally.
Superhero. He killed a bunch of weaklings. Like, oh wow, I killed weaklings. Why can't I kill a superhero with boomerangs? Come on,
So
dude. Come on.
Isaiah, if you were planning on robbing a bank, you would bring a nuclear weapon just in case Superman showed up?
Exactly. Or kryptonite.
Or-
You never
But
know.
kryptonite is not
Cover
established.
up Isaiah's antics.
well,
there is one.
Obviously, on the way to the bank, Isaiah would stop by his local Walgreens. You know, pick up just pick up some kryptonite. They sell it there, I'm sure.
Exactly.
If not there, then
All the time,
CVS.
like,
Do they sell kryptonite to black people though?
Oh, he's got a good point there. He's got a good point.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Actually, they do. You know why?
Because-
You know why?
because-
Superman never saves black people. He never saves them. That's a true story. He never saves them. Prior. Thanks.
Other than Pete Ross,
That's why he
his
can't
best
say
friend.
Well, Pete Ross was only black in the
That doesn't
TV
count
show.
because that dude, he was a house Negro. You can't trust him either. You can't trust him. No. You can't
No.
trust him.
Yeah, that's not like some auto-tune shit. Like he was too big up in this bitch.
Isaiah, why don't you go hook up with T-Pain, and he will teach you how to use auto-tunes correctly.
I can have my own theme song, dog.
So
That'd be
overall,
awesome.
overall, how did everyone feel about the crossover as a whole after seeing both episodes together? You know, how do you feel about it?
Overall, I had to say it like you did. That was just that tickled me.
I thought it was fun. I thought it was a lot of fun, and I think that was the point.
Yeah. It's like the same complaint that I had last night when we were talking about Flash. It's kind of the same little nitpick I have now. It's like I wish they would have taken this opportunity to do a more cohesive two-part story. I think it was a missed opportunity. I understand why they did it, that they didn't want, to have fans of one show to have to tune into this other show to get the full story. I understand that. But for those of us that do watch both shows, I think that would have been a really cool thing, and I think it would have actually helped them even more to have Arrow fans who aren't necessarily fans of Flash to give it a shot and vice versa. But that again, minor nitpick, and I'm sure that when they do another crossover, they'd probably do it that way.
And I think
But
this
to your little
really
nitpick, they had the highest rating since the first episode of the season.
That's true.
And how much higher could they have? And how much higher could they have been if they had done it my way?
Well,
Maybe
kind of
even
less.
more.
Kind of less. Because
part one was the one that got the highest rating, and then part two today, yesterday got like 3.9 million views, which is actually like really high since like season 1 of Arrow. But no, to me, look, this was one of the most greatest TV events ever. Like, look, I never had shows when I was growing up that could cross over. You know, my big sister was the one who was into Buffy and Angel. Like, I didn't get into Buffy and Angel until 2012. So I'd never had a show that I could, be like, oh, these two can cross over. So this was kind of like my first experience with that, and it was so much fun because you get the best of both worlds. You get the gritty and groomy world of Arrow with Flash, and the biggest thing that I loved about this was that they learned from each other, so that we can have some, Flash related behavior on Arrow, and without having to have Barry there every week and so. Like, hopefully Oliver will actually fucking smile every once in a while and have fun with his life, and while Barry tries to be more serious about the position he has as a superhero.
I have to kind of sort of mostly agree with Andy about the television event thing. Of American network television, this was probably the best crossover we've had in a decade on American network television. Now, in worldwide television, it's easily Doctor Who. But other than that,
pretty much.
What does Doctor Who crossover with?
What's that?
What does Doctor Who crossover with?
Basically the season, it wasn't necessarily a crossover, but when it came to television events, Doctor Who has had 3 major ones in the past 5 years that destroys this one. One would be maybe 6 years. One would be the season finale of, I think, season 3 or 4, where basically everyone that's Doctor Who all came together to fight the bad guy. Like, literally every single Doctor Who, like, everything showed up. Then there was, of course, the 50th anniversary special, and there was one other that happened right after the anniversary special, and I forgot what it was. But
was it the premiere of the new Doctor?
No, I would not say that was because they do that every 2 or 3 years.
So the Power Rangers of Doctor Who all came together. Hooray!
Yeah, basically.
Exactly.
But let me ask you this, because when you guys, after all the crossovers you saw with Buffy and Angel, would you say that they were ever able to be that good as Flash and Arrow was this week?
I never watched the show, so I can't tell you.
That's why I asked Matt Leona, because that's the only one I know who watched Buffy and Angel on this panel.
Well, I would say that that this was more built up than any crossover between Buffy and Angel there's been. But the one thing that Buffy and Angel did that I liked is exactly what they didn't do for this. There were a lot of storylines that would start on one show and then kind of conclude or another, or they would be talking about some events on one show that if you weren't watching the other show, they said enough that you kind of got the gist of it, but you wouldn't know particularly what they were talking about unless you were watching the other show. And that's something that happened quite often on Buffy and Angel, and I like that a lot.
Well, where Buffy and Angel failed on that particular point is that when it comes to actually Buffy going over to Angel or Angel going over to Buffy, whoever was visiting was a relatively minor character. Where most of the good crossovers came between those two was with Faith.
Yeah. Yeah, Faith was the greatest crossover character for that entire universe.
I don't get why she wasn't a series regular on Angel instead. Maybe it was because they wanted to. Maybe they thought it would be too much if you had both Cordelia while she was still on, and then bring in Faith too. Maybe I don't know. It could have been.
Okay, we could actually have an entire conclave conversation about that.
Yeah.
But when do we conclave? We haven't done one in ages.
That's because we haven't had any relevant topics, but we'll get to that later.
So we're gonna kick it into wild speculation time.
I have one.
Oh boy, go for it.
Of all time was.
Okay, apparently I want to know what his wild speculation is. Does anybody else have a wild speculation while Isaiah's internet catches up with us?
My wild speculation is the Reverse Flash is not Eddie.
Wrong show, dude.
Yeah, wrong show.
Well, actually, it's a crossover, so he's allowed to talk about both.
Oh, you're right. You're right. Sorry.
No, you didn't do anything wrong.
My wild speculation is Isaiah's internet is not going to get any better this hangout.
At this point, I'm not even sure if that qualifies as speculation.
Wait, does it? I've seen him. You put in the a cable into his computer so he doesn't have to use the Wi-Fi. So like,
That was so
But-
fucking
All
funny.
right, I have a speculation.
Go for it.
Rocky.
My speculation is that it's probably going to be about something that's going to happen next week's episode, the mid-season finale with Ra's. Well, I'm not even going to call him Ra's al Ghul. I'm going to call him Raish al Ghul, which is how his name should be pronounced. I think that I don't know. Oliver's going to get the shit kicked out of him, and they're going to re-examine it once the show comes back next year. That's my speculation.
Okay.
I have more
Alright.
theories. I have theories about the Flash finale.
You should have been in the hangout yesterday then.
Exactly.
My internet was fucked up. So, well, you know what? I'm a bitch. I'm just gonna talk about Flash anyway.
I'll go
I think
for it.
well, bless you. I think Reverse Flash is a future version of these three characters. Either it's a future and twisted take on Barry, that something horribly goes wrong in the future that he becomes Reverse Flash. It is Harrison from the future. Like this Harrison we see in the present, he hasn't become Reverse Flash yet, but he knows he's going to become Reverse Flash, and the Reverse Flash we will see will be a future version of himself. Or it's Eddie from the future that is Reverse Flash. I think it's one of those three characters.
Well, they do say that the Flash disappears in the Crisis. That's on the newspaper. Maybe this is where the Flash basically disappears to some sort of like Bizarro type of world, and his Bizarro version shows up.
Well, the thing that keeps
Alright.
confusing me is that
Blurry red eyes.
the whole thing with that they disappear in a crisis is that like the one thing I can think of like where he would be right now in the future is that maybe he's trapped in the Speed Force. That's the one thing I can think of.
We can hope.
Yeah, we can certainly hope. It's like, well, in any case, it was like we're looking at both of these season finales for both, or mid-season finales rather, for both Arrow and Flash next week, and I, for one, am super excited. But now we're going to go ahead and cut this off. For those of you watching, we'd like to, of course, thank you for watching. Go ahead and like this video if you like what we're doing here. Subscribe to us, youtube.com/geeksaround, so you never miss this or any other discussion that we do. And of course, don't forget to join the Geeks Around community. You will find the link for that down in the description for this video. My name is Deanna Jackson, and we will see you next week for the mid-season finales.